On the 14th of July, 1936, Sir Isaac Newton's unpublished manuscripts were auctioned. But these manuscripts contained a secret that the scientific world had been desperately trying to hide for 2 centuries. The secret of the Emerald Tablets. Before he became known as the father of modern science, Sir Isaac Newton was just another scientist. But a forbidden passion of his led him to discover the principles of our world that would brand him as the father of modern science, all from the ancient Emerald Tablets. What was this passion of his? What secret did it lead him to discover? And how is it connected to this ancient artifact from Egypt? We will find out in this episode of Secret Origins. Welcome. When Isaac Newton died in 1727, he was buried in Westminster Abbey with full state honours, a grand funeral only reserved for royalty and high nobility. He was the first scientist to be honoured in that manner. At the time of his death, he was regarded as a hero of the Enlightenment, the man who had discovered the fundamental laws of the physical universe, the president of the Royal Society, Britain's scientific community. Known as the father of classical physics, Sir Isaac Newton had reached the pinnacle of scientific endeavour. But later on, the Royal Society would discover a secret passion of his so scandalous that they would hide it from the world for the next 200 years. The way the story goes, after Newton's death, his colleagues at the Royal Society had gathered to review his private papers and his unpublished manuscripts, a standard procedure for a man of his stature. What they discovered horrified them. Hidden in his study were trunk after trunk filled with manuscripts. Over 1 million written words, more than everything he'd published on physics and mathematics, devoted to something the scientific establishment had deemed not just unprofessional but dangerous: alchemy. The Society decided to bury this information. They suppressed the publishing of those manuscripts, all in an attempt to protect Newton's reputation by hiding the fact that the father of classical physics had devoted more energy and written more on alchemy than any of his celebrated discoveries. It wasn't until 1936, more than 2 centuries later, when his private papers were auctioned off at Sotheby's auction house, that the world finally learned what the Royal Society had so desperately tried to hide. Sir Isaac Newton, the man who discovered the law of gravity, was an alchemist. As we would later discover, Sir Isaac Newton held a passion for alchemy since he was a little boy living in an apothecary's shop. And it was indeed some of these insights into alchemy that would guide him to some of his scientific discoveries later on in life. However, as a grown man, most of his alchemical obsession was centered around a single mystical text, the Emerald Tablet. But what exactly was the Emerald Tablet? And why would the greatest scientific mind in history risk everything to study it? Here's what we know. According to legend, it was discovered in a dark tomb beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza. Some say it was found by Sarah, the wife of Abraham, clutched in the skeletal hands of a corpse. Others claim Alexander the Great had stumbled upon it during his conquest of Egypt, hidden in a chamber that hadn't opened in millennia. Whatever account you may have heard, they all seem to agree on one cardinal fact. The body holding the tablet wasn't just any corpse. It was Hermes Trismegistus himself, who, according to legends, was either a god, a man who became a god, or something else entirely. They referred to him as the fusion of the Egyptian god of knowledge, Thoth, and the Greek messenger god, Hermes. So, what did this emerald tablet actually look like? Imagine with me for a moment that you're holding a piece of emerald green stone in your hands, cool and smooth to the touch. carved into its surface are 13 lines of text. Just 13 lines. A single paragraph that could fit on something smaller than an iPad. Now imagine that this one paragraph contains the secret to everything. Not metaphorically, literally everything. The key to immortality, the secret to having unlimited wealth, or the structure of the atom. Whatever secrets you wanted to know, it was all encoded in those 13 cryptic lines. That, right there in your hands, is the Emerald Tablet. The earliest versions of the 13 lines inscribed on the tablet were found in 8th century Arabic texts, and by the 12th century, when it was translated into Latin, it spread through Europe like a virus. Monks copied it in secret. Seekers of knowledge fervently sought it out. Magicians and alchemists memorized every word of it. Philosophers debated it and built entire systems of thought around it. Why? Because of what it promised in its opening lines. "'Tis true without error, certain and most true. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below, to accomplish the miracles of one thing. As above, so below." If you think the quote is familiar, that's because it is. You have heard it before. It's everywhere. As tattoos, motivational posters, Instagram posts. But do you know what it actually means? According to the philosophers and scholars who have debated it, they think it means that the universe is a mirror. The same patterns that govern the movement of planets also govern the movement of atoms. The same forces that shaped galaxies also shaped human consciousness. The implication is, if you understand the patterns of the universe on one level, you can understand it at every level. Most importantly, it means that there is a code. There is a fundamental algorithm running reality itself. And if you can crack it, if you can truly comprehend it, you don't just understand the universe, you can alter it. Found among the lines of the Emerald Tablet, there is a process described: separating earth from fire, the refined from the gross, extracting the pure from the corrupt through careful transformation. On the surface, it looks like a recipe. Simple instructions for creating the philosopher's stone. That legendary substance alchemists believed could turn lead into gold and grant eternal life. But medieval scholars and Sir Isaac Newton quickly realized that the tablet wasn't just describing chemistry. Though the words spoke about heating a metal in a furnace, it also referred to the movements of celestial bodies. Alchemists who tried to transmute gold realized that the process led them to achieve enlightenment. That was when the true value of what they had uncovered hit them. The Emerald Tablet wasn't just an ancient poem. They were instructions. Instructions that worked no matter where you applied them. The physical world, astronomy, psychology, and even spiritually. It was a master key that unlocked any door. The tablet claimed that everything in existence came from one source, something it called the one thing, and that through a series of separations and recombinations, that unity became the infinite universe we experience as reality. It claimed that it was the same. Stars and stones, thoughts and atoms. It all came from one single origin point. That everything was connected. And not just that, if you understood the principles, you could reverse the process. If you could see the pattern, you could work backwards. From many to one, from lead to gold, from mortal to immortal. And from a look at Isaac Newton's notes, it seemed that he believed this. Isaac Newton didn't stumble upon the Emerald Tablet by accident. By the time he encountered it in the 1660s, he was already living a double life. Publicly, he was the Cambridge mathematics professor revolutionizing physics, but privately, he was something else entirely. While his peers at the Royal Society were abandoning alchemy as medieval superstition, Newton was falling deeper into his studies. He built furnaces in his rooms at Trinity College. He conducted experiments that lasted weeks, standing by boiling crucibles through the night, recording every color change, every precipitation. His assistant, Humphrey Newton, would later recall finding him in the laboratory at dawn, eyes red and intense. Newton dove into alchemy and deciphered the texts of the Emerald Tablet like a man on a mission. The question was, what was he looking for? The answer lies in what Newton saw that others missed. Where the Royal Society dismissed alchemy as mysticism and primitive superstition, Newton saw a hidden signal to the truth. Take a look at his translation of the ancient texts, and you will start to get an idea of what he was searching for. He didn't just copy the Latin version of it. He dissected it, word for word, cross-referencing multiple versions and comparing various interpretations of the text to get as close to the original version as he could. And the discoveries he made in his translations influenced his scientific discoveries. Take a look at his breakthrough discoveries in physics, and you will see that they mirror the exact structure of the Emerald Tablet. The tablet speaks of one thing from which all things emerge. Newton discovered universal gravitation, one force governing all motion from falling apples to orbiting planets. The tablet describes how that which is below is like that which is above. Newton showed that the same mathematical laws apply everywhere in the universe, that earthly physics and celestial mechanics are one and the same. The tablet outlines the process of separation and recombination. Newton's calculus showed a mathematical method for breaking continuous motion into infinitely small pieces, then recombining them to understand the whole. In his private notes, Newton believed that ancient philosophers knew laws about the universe, and he believed that the Emerald Tablet described real physical processes. He believed that the alchemical transformation of base metals into gold was describing something true about the nature of matter itself. He may have been right. In 1803, 76 years after Newton's death, an English chemist named John Dalton proposed his atomic theory, that all matter is composed of indivisible particles called atoms, and that chemical reactions are simply the rearrangement of these atoms. The Emerald Tablet had described this exact process 13 centuries earlier. Separate the earth from fire, the subtle from the gross, gently and with great ingenuity. In 1868, Dmitri Mendeleev organized the elements into the periodic table, showing that all matter follows a pattern, that elements share families and properties, and that there is an underlying structure to physical reality. Thus was the world created. From this will be wonderful adaptations, for which the means is here. In the 20th century, we discovered through quantum physics that particles can be waves, that matter and energy are interchangeable, and that everything in the universe is fundamentally connected at the quantum level. And as all things have been and arose from one by the mediation of one, so all things have their birth from this one thing by adaptation. One by one, modern science has been validating principles that the tablet stated over 1,000 years ago. And this validation of the Emerald Tablet wasn't just limited to the natural sciences. Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, was obsessed with the Emerald Tablet. He saw in it what he called individuation, the psychological process of integrating the unconscious with the conscious mind, of becoming whole. Jung believed that the alchemical transformation the tablet spoke about wasn't about metals. He said that it was about the human psyche. Turning lead into gold meant transforming base impulses into higher consciousness. As above, so below meant that the patterns governing the cosmos also governed the human mind. Or so he believed. Physicist Wolfgang Pauli, who won the Nobel Prize for his work on quantum mechanics, collaborated with Jung for years. Together, they explored the correlations between quantum physics and the principles in the Emerald Tablet. They were trying to determine if consciousness and matter may just be two aspects of the same underlying reality. Pauli believed the tablet described the unius mundus, the primordial world that exists before the separation of mind and matter occurs. You see it too, don't you? The same Emerald Tablet across the several layers of reality, still present and working even centuries after being written. And that is what makes it so different from every other ancient text. It is still working. The Emerald Tablet is not a historical artifact we study from a distance. It's an active force shaping human understanding right now, today, in ways most people don't recognize. Modern chemistry emerged directly from alchemical laboratories, where practitioners followed the tablet's instructions to separate, purify, and recombine substances. The entire scientific method, hypothesis, experimentation, observation, refinement, mirrors the alchemical process the tablet describes. Systems theory, ecology, quantum physics, psychology, neuroscience, every field that studies interconnected wholes rather than isolated parts, is rediscovering principles the tablet stated explicitly, that everything is connected, that the same patterns govern different scales of reality, that understanding requires seeing unity within diversity. Even artificial intelligence and machine learning follow the tablet's logic, breaking complex problems into simple patterns, finding the algorithm that governs the system, using knowledge at one level to predict behavior at another. As above, so below isn't mysticism anymore. In physics, it has become scale invariance. In mathematics, it is called fractal geometry, and self-similarity in systems theory. It makes you wonder, if the tablet has been proven correct about this much, what else might it be right about? Could the philosopher's stone be real? After all, we've already discovered that matter and energy are interchangeable. We've learned to split atoms and release tremendous power. We've mapped the human genome and are learning to edit it. We're creating synthetic life in laboratories. What if the philosopher's stone is just another level of meaning we haven't decoded yet? What if it describes a real process we simply don't have the framework to understand? Now let's read the complete Emerald Tablet, translated from the Latin version Newton himself studied. As we read each line, you will notice something. How each phrase seems simple on the surface, but the more you think about it, the more layers reveal themselves. 'Tis true without lying, certain and most true. That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below, to do the miracles of one only thing. And as all things have been and arose from one, by the mediation of one, so all things have their birth from this one thing by adaptation. The sun is its father, the moon its mother, the wind hath carried it in its belly, the earth is its nurse. The Father of all perfection in the whole world is here. Its force or power is entire if it be converted into earth. Separate thou the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross sweetly with great industry. It ascends from the earth to the heaven, and again it descends to the earth, and receives the force of things superior and inferior. By this means you shall have the glory of the whole world, and thereby all obscurity shall fly from you. Its force is above all force, for it vanquishes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. So was the world created. From this are and do come admirable adaptations, whereof the means is here in this. Hence, I am called Hermes Trismegistus, having the three parts of the philosophy of the whole world. That which I have said of the operation of the sun is accomplished and ended. 13 lines, 183 words in Newton's English translation. Somehow, these words inspired Newton to discover gravity. They guided medieval alchemists to develop modern chemistry. They provided Carl Jung with a map of the human psyche. If an obsession over the Emerald Tablet led to these discoveries, what else could these 13 lines be trying to tell us that we just haven't figured out? Think about this for a moment. We've traced the tablet's influence through Newton, Jung, Pauli, and countless others. But what about the discoveries we haven't connected yet? When Albert Einstein developed his theory of relativity, showing that space and time are woven together into a single fabric, was he unknowingly following the tablet's teaching that everything emerges from one thing? When Charles Darwin proposed evolution through natural selection, was he describing the same process the tablet calls admirable adaptations? When Watson and Crick discovered the double helix structure of DNA, were they seeing what Hermes meant when he wrote about the operation of the sun, the life force itself? The tablet speaks of something that ascends from the earth to the heaven, and again it descends to the earth. Today, we understand the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, endless loops of matter and energy that sustain all life. It ascends from the earth to the heaven, and again it descends to the earth and receives the force of things superior and inferior. Here's what might be the most remarkable thing about the Emerald Tablet. It doesn't just describe ancient wisdom, it describes the future. Every breakthrough in human understanding seems to bring us closer to something the tablet has been pointing toward all along. We're decoding the human genome. We're manipulating matter at the atomic level. We're beginning to understand consciousness itself. We're learning to transmute, not lead into gold, but information into understanding, understanding into wisdom, wisdom into power, over the very forces that shape reality. The alchemists called this process the Great Work. They believed it was the ultimate goal of human existence, to understand the universe so completely that the boundary between knower and known disappears. Are we living through the completion of the Great Work right now? When we look at artificial intelligence learning to think, at quantum computers processing information in ways that shouldn't be possible, at genetic engineering literally rewriting the code of life itself, are we witnessing the final stages of what Hermes Trismegistus set in motion thousands of years ago? Perhaps that's the real secret of the Emerald Tablet. It wasn't meant to be decoded once and understood completely. It was meant to be a mirror that reflects whatever level of understanding humanity has reached. To medieval alchemists, it revealed chemistry. To Newton, it revealed physics. To Jung, it revealed psychology. To modern scientists, it reveals quantum mechanics and systems theory. The tablet doesn't change. We do. And maybe the one thing the tablet describes isn't a substance or a force or even a principle. Maybe it's consciousness itself. The consciousness that reads the tablet, interprets it, and in doing so transforms both the reader and reality. The 13 lines continue to work their influence, generation after generation, mind by mind, discovery by discovery. Scientists at CERN are smashing particles together, trying to understand the fundamental building blocks of reality. Neuroscientists are mapping the brain, trying to locate consciousness itself. Geneticists are editing DNA, learning to rewrite the code of life. Its force is above all force, for it vanquishes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. Are these modern researchers following instructions they don't even know they received? Instructions written in 13 cryptic lines, carved into emerald stone, found in a tomb that may never have existed, attributed to a god who may have been a man, who may have been a myth. The tablet promises that those who understand its principles will have the glory of the whole world, and that all obscurity shall fly from them. What if the next breakthrough is coming? What if someone, somewhere, is about to see the pattern that connects quantum mechanics to consciousness, matter to mind, the algorithm of reality itself? What if they're reading the Emerald Tablet right now, seeing something everyone else has missed? Tell us what you think in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like these, hit the like button and subscribe. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.